That still makes me giggle. That Mark Neville, he done it.
I like that intro.
I do too. I like it. That kind of fits our personality. Goofy.
Yeah.
Oh, we hope everybody's doing well tonight and got in out of the snow and the harsh wind. Woo, mercy. I tell you what, I went outside to my work truck because we didn't have to work today, thank goodness. But I dropped my keys in the snow and got them out of the snow and unlocked my truck to get something out. And by the time I got back in, my hands were about froze.
I tell you what, this was your first day back at work too since the virus.
Yeah, the virus. And it wasn't terrible. Yeah, about halfway to work, they text me and said I could stay home without pay, take a vacation day, or come in and do training.
So what'd you do? Go in and count paper clips?
That's correct. I sure did. They better give me more of a head start than me being halfway to work if they think I'm going to turn around and go home.
Yeah.
All right, folks, tonight we're going to talk about some of our screw-ups we've been over and done. Well, a few of them anyway. We don't have enough time to talk about all of them. But which one do you want to start with tonight, Mark?
Let's
My screw-up or your screw-up?
Oh, we got plenty of screw ups. We got screw ups to go around for everyone.
Yeah, you're right.
I tell you what about when you and Kane, when we were down in Georgia, and I tried climbing up that mountain with y'all, and I probably got about 3/4 of the way, and I couldn't go no further. It was like I would take 3 steps up, and I'd have to sit down for 5 minutes. It was that steep. We were like mountaineers trying to climb that thing. You had to have something to hold on to climb up, and I just physically could not do it.
Well, I barely physically could, but you're right. You were having to hold on to saplings and everything else to move up 20 or 30 yards. And the reason why we even started up the mountain, we were down at the creek talking or something and heard a wood knock up toward the top of the mountain and decided to go look, because that's what we do. We go at it instead of around it or wait on it, whatever. But we went up this mountain, and like Mark said, he got 3/4 of the way up, and Kane and I were still going on up. And Mark went back down to meet Shelley and go back to camp. And Kane and I had just went over the top of this mountain and decided one of us was going to go left, one of us was going to go right, and we could see a creek at the bottom on the other side. We're going to meet back kind of in the middle there. Easy peasy. So we do it. We get down there, and we do wind up meeting up. I mean, we're seeing bear tracks everywhere, bear poop everywhere. We found a rock stack that was in the middle of the creek on a log that was pretty neat, but probably done by hikers. So this takes maybe 45 minutes to an hour by the time we leave Mark, get on up the top of the mountain and go down the mountain looking both ways for any sign or anything. And we did see sign besides the bear tracks and all that. But we finally meet up again. And all we've done is went up a mountain and down a mountain and come back together. And we think, okay, all we got to do is go back up that mountain, go down on the other side, cross the creek, and we're back at camp. Wrong. Bad wrong. We didn't take hardly anything. We didn't take a compass, a GPS. We did have a fire starter, And I think we had a bottle of water apiece. I think we had a candy bar or two, and maybe a pack of crackers and peanut butter or something. So we go up the mountain that we think is going to get us back above camp. And we get up there, and it don't look familiar at all. We don't know where we're at from one mountain. And Kane, I know, goes out every day in the woods and tracks around his house and everything else and goes right back to his house. Me, I go turkey hunting, and if I hear a turkey, I'll go 3 ridges over and go to the turkey, not ever think about anything. But for some reason, we stuck our heads down and didn't pay attention to what we should have. And I think we left Mark at around lunchtime, about 12 or 12 to 2, somewhere in there.
Uh-huh.
And man, it's already getting 4, and we don't know where we're at. So we go to the top of the mountain again. Nothing looks normal. And we're like, where are we at? And we're like, well, we got to just go over this next hill, and it's got to be right there. So we go down and go up. Nothing looks familiar at all. And I'm like, Kane, I don't know where we're at. And he looks at me and says, man, I don't either. And it's getting late in the day. It don't get dark till about 7:30 or something there, because the time hadn't changed at that point. But I think, well, I've got my phone, because we ain't able to get signal anywhere except the top of mountains. So I take out my phone, and it does have a compass on it that's halfway readable and usable, because I've used it and looked at a regular compass with the phone compass, and generally it's okay. So we get up there, and I'm able to pull up an overview map of everything, and I'm able to see where the campground is and see where we're at. So we take a compass reading off my phone, the direction we need to go, and man, we cut out. And I don't know if I said this before, but Kane walks every day. I don't know how far, but poor fat Larry rides around in a truck all day. We went up and down, I know, 5 to 7 mountains getting back to that camp. How we got that far out of whack, I have no idea. I don't think it was anything, no infrasound stuff or loss of time or nothing. We just got turned around and went the wrong way, period. So we start up and down these mountains. It's getting late. And we finally get to the top of the mountain. And me and Kane done talked about what we had. We were almost prepared to stay out there that night and find our way back the next day because it was getting dark. And we topped the mountain, and I looked at the phone again, and I could see we were just the mountain over the camp. And about that time, we could hear y'all talking down there in camp, you know, because one of us is a lot louder than the rest of us. But we could hear that. And I'm like, all right, Kane, we're right there. All we got to do is go down there. And man, my hamstrings started cramping. Both my calves started cramping. And I had to slide on my butt down that mountain to get down there. If I'd have had to go another half mile, I wouldn't have made it. And Kane's just bebopping along like nothing's happening. And I'm about to die. And I think we rode into camp, like had maybe 5 minutes left before it got pitch black.
Yeah.
And this time there was a drought in this area, and there was a no fire restrict. You couldn't have a campfire or nothing. So we barely made it back to camp because we wasn't going to look for smoke. We wasn't going to look for a campfire. We would have just been sitting there in the dark up in the woods waiting on a bear to come by, I guess. I don't know. But that's the worst thing that's happened to me out boogering physically that, I was concerned that we were going to be stuck out there overnight. And we didn't have very much because it was kind of warm during the day. And we didn't really dress for the night, which was getting down in the 40s, 50s. So the daytime is 60 or so. So we were warm moving. So we didn't have a lot of clothes or anything. And nobody come look for us.
Well, I was hoping to get your share of the dinner, Larry.
You almost did.
I was sitting there thinking, well, who's going to eat who up there? Because y'all was going to get hungry. But
Yeah.
that was rough trying to climb those mountains.
Ooh.
And I'm not one to get backaches, but my back was just absolutely killing me by the time I got back. It's I it, the look on your face when you come walking into camp. I mean, you could tell that you had run the gamut.
I got to tell you, I played basketball my whole life up, junior high, high school, and some in college. And I played double, triple overtime basketball games where I was on the floor the entire time, running up and down the floor. And my legs have never been as wore out as they were that night on that mountain. That was terrible. I mean, terrible.
You gonna tell another mishap that you had?
I don't know if I need to. It'd be better if you told one.
Well, I done told the one when I got lost in Tennessee and wound it up in Kentucky. So I've done told that one.
Yeah.
But I was in Arkansas one time, and we were there was a sighting, and there was a group of us, and so we were out there looking, and let's see, I've got a little video of this if you want me to show it, Larry.
Hey, that's fine with me.
Let's see if I can pull it up. All right. And so me and Mike were on these four-wheelers, and we went down this mountain, and it don't really look that steep there, but I'm going to tell you, it was steep. And I've got a little camera mounted on the rack of the four-wheeler, and you can tell how high this stuff is. And trees were down, the place was really rocky, and you could not see what you were going at. And all of a sudden, we're just zigzagging, trying to get up to the top of this mountain. And all of a sudden, I hit a rock with one tire, and the four-wheeler ran over. And here's a clip of it. And the funny thing about it was when it rolled over, there was a down tree right there. And I stepped off that four-wheeler just like you would step off some steps. And the four-wheeler just rolled all the way over and sat on its belly on that log, and I just rocked it off that log, and then we took right back off. But I didn't actually know if I was going to be able to get to the top of that mountain. I mean, because it was steep. It was absolutely steep.
Oh, why do you ride four wheelers?
Well, I don't know. I think them people were just they always ride four wheelers. And I've got another video of when we were on a four wheeler and we got stuck then. Got stuck on a rock. But
This ain't the one with Shelly, is it?
yeah, but I'm not going to play the audio of that.
Can I play it?
Do you have it pulled up? Because
No.
she's going to cut your throat. She's not going to cut mine.
Yeah, we pick on Shelly too much, but that was funny. That was at night too, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And y'all were the last ones.
Well, that's the way that I really wanted it. I'll just go ahead and pull it up since we're talking about it.
Everything don't ever go smoothly. Not every time, anyway. Are you ready?
Yeah.
You ain't gonna play the sound, are you?
No, I'm not playing that sound.
No,
Yeah.
don't, because we'll get killed. What's that
But
light flashing for?
okay, now I've got on my camcorder two tactical lights mounted on it. And so Shelly was on the back of the four wheeler, and I wanted to be at the back of the pack. That way she could hold that thing up and film backwards in case something stepped out. And those other guys' four wheelers were bigger than mine. So when I went over that rock, it just bottomed out. And they just kept going. They didn't realize that we were stuck. And I'm going to tell you, these trails, it was hundreds of miles. They just crisscrossed. We would have never found our way out of there. And so Shelly started blinking that light on that camcorder at him and hollering. And then Mike apparently realized we wasn't behind him, and so he came back and waited for us to get unstuck. And I told Shelly, I said, "Don't worry about it. If they don't come back, we'll just camp out here." She didn't like that answer. But
You know why Mike come back?
why?
Because he's a good dude. That's
Yeah,
why.
Mike's a good dude. Yeah, he was the one on in front of me on that other video where we
Yeah.
got, and Mike's pretty fearless. On he used to race motocross professionally, and so he's a pretty fearless guy when it comes to motorsports and stuff like that.
More fearless than me. What did you learn from all that?
I don't know, Larry. What should I have learned?
Maybe not to go riding a four-wheeler up a mountain in the dark?
Oh,
I don't know.
I don't know. It's fun to get out on four wheelers, but I don't. That's really not the strategy that you should be using if you're out there looking for boogers. And it seems like that's all this one group does is ride around on four wheelers.
Well, everybody's got their methods. But I know what I learned from mine. You
pack
know,
food.
well, it's like Spencer showed the video on Beast the other day. He's got a little pack he takes with him.
Uh
From
huh.
then on, I've learned to make sure I got a fire starter, a compass, besides my phone, and my phone is charged. And I do have food and water of some sort or a water filter. We have bought those water filters that you can screw to the top of a plastic water bottle. So if you got a water source, you got water, and those things are fantastic. But another thing I did, because I'm fat and you're old, right?
Right.
No, Mark has diabetes, and I got sore knees half the time I'm going up and down these mountains. But you get on these mountains and you step on a rock or you step on a log or a Bigfoot throws a rock at you or something and hits you. Anyway, there's a million ways to get hurt out there. And while you were playing your video, I cut my feet off to look for my GPS to show it. But I went out and bought it's an InReach, isn't it a Garmin?
Yes.
InReach? Okay. I bought that, and it is SOS capable where if I was to get hurt, Mark or anybody that's with me, and we're way out in the boondocks, I could hit that SOS button on that, and it would send them my coordinates, and they would call search and rescue to come to that coordinate and find us. But I did that because there's so many times we're miles out there, especially whenever we go into the Ozarks, Ouachitas, or the Appalachians. We go way out. I know one time Eric Kane, Mark Henderson, and me walked 8 miles from the top of a mountain chain down to our campground, and man, you can get hurt just like that. So I bought that thing, and it was a little pricey, but it gave me a little security. It does have the capability of texting, and that's not the functionality of that texting is not great because it hits a satellite that takes a long time for it to go through and for you to get a reply. And luckily, I've not had to try the SOS yet to see how quick that is. But that's better than laying there with a broke leg, waiting on somebody back home to miss you or whatever, and then call search and rescue 2 or 3 days later for them to come. I think it would work a lot faster than the texting would. But I hope I never have to use it. But what we're doing and what we're going looking for, they could hurt us, which I'm sure if they decided to hurt us, we're done for anyway. But I'm more worried about us slipping into a crevice or falling off a slope or anything like that. And that was the reason I purchased that Garmin InReach. And I do pay for the service, which I've got it shut off right now because we don't have anything coming up, and they do allow you to shut it off if you're not going out for a month or two, and then whenever you got a trip planned that you're going out, you can just reactivate it and pay the service fee again. And I think it's $30 or $35 a month.
Can't hide money.
You can't, but you can't haul my fat butt off a mountain either.
Well, I know there was one time at Titanium Swamp, I just told you, you better start building an Indian sled because I don't know if I can get out of here.
Sometimes it's that way. You push yourself or you get lost. And there ain't no telling how many times I've been lost turkey hunting. I know one time I went down to this place here in West Tennessee that's nothing but a swamp, me and another guy. And I'd hunted there a bunch of times and went in, and I knew where the truck was, all that jazz. But I went in and we got on a turkey or something, and you stick your head down and you look at the ground and go through some briars or whatever. and you come out the other side, you just lost all your sense of direction once you put your head down and not looking ahead. And man, I bet I walked 2 hours parallel with this 2 mile long road that goes right to my vehicle. But everything looked the same. You're in a swamp. And it was, I mean, it's easy to get out there, even in a place you know, and you just get disoriented a little bit, you're in trouble. Sometimes. Some people know their land enough that don't really matter, but you get on land you're not really familiar with, you can get in trouble really quick. Or you can go somewhere you shouldn't be in a vehicle and get stuck.
I wasn't the driver.
Oh, so, sometimes you got to know your
Uh,
limits on a two-wheel drive vehicle.
yeah. Yeah. Uh, I tell you, and I think I had a walk about a quarter of a mile before I even got a bar that I could sit there and call you and see if you could come get us out. And man, you was not happy with us.
Oh, it was long before Debbie, and I was out on a date. And poor Mark and Shelley called me. What was it, about 9 o'clock or something?
Yeah.
And said, "Man, we're at LBL and we're stuck. Can you come get us out?" And I'm like, "Where y'all at?" And he told me, and I knew where they're at. And I'm like, "You can't get out, really?" And he's like, "No." How about that, Chris Bagan? So I drive all the way there, and luckily Mark has a tow strap, and we get him out. Shelley didn't like being stuck there either, did she?
No, and that's not the only thing that happened there.
Uh-oh, I don't know if you need to talk about that.
We we went looking for this uh game cam, and we think that somebody clipped it, but we were going to look for it, and so we're wandering all over the place for a couple of hours, and we got back to the truck, which the truck was locked, and Shelley lost her keys in the woods.
I remember that.
And so I told her to just stay at the truck and let me go and look and see if I could find them. And when I probably searched 45 minutes and I found them. Those keys, she had them on one of those things that wraps around your neck, and that thing had came off or snagged on something, and it was hanging on a limb. And I came back, and she was gathering firewood to start a fire, because that was sort of close where one of those man dog incidents happened. And and it looked like we were going to be there all night long. And but that was just sheer luck to find those keys.
Didn't I show up there while you were looking for the keys?
I don't know.
It seems like we were camping that night or something, and I got there late, and y'all were there to find that expensive trail camera that we donated to the U.S. government, I guess,
Yeah.
or somebody. But man, I sure do miss that spot. You
You
see
know,
that?
I had a little incident happen right there, a little mishap at that spot. Probably about 25 feet from where our little fire pit is there. There's a little creek that runs, and it's quite a bit to walk in there. And so you're carrying as little stuff as you can get by with, and we would get our water out of that creek. And I brought a bunch of these little packets of powder where you could make flavored drinks out of them. And I was thirsty, and I apparently did not boil my water long enough. I did not bring it up to a hard boil. And I
Oh
think
yeah,
we barely did have enough paper towels to get us through that weekend.
man. That poor white oak that was down, there was more toilet paper on it than there was white oak limbs. There wasn't a Bigfoot or a man dog within 5 miles of that place. The first time I went into this place here where we got this film rolling, I went in September. And I was seeing all kinds of sign leaners going on trees. There was muscadine vines that were ripe. But this was late in September, and we had one of those cold snaps. And it was probably 50 degrees or so, 60 at the most. It was nice compared to the 90, 95 it had been. So I went to LBL to hike. I went by myself. And I wore a short sleeve shirt and blue jeans and hiking boots and went back, way back in here where we're set up on this primitive camp. And man, whenever I go turkey hunting, I spray down with Promethean and off and everything else because they got seed ticks so bad there. And for some reason, I thought it was cool enough that the seed ticks and the chiggers were going to not be there for some reason. And I went wading back in here, going through muscadine vines and everything. And I can remember I went to the top of that ridge from that fire pit, and I was sitting there eating lunch, and my son called me. And I heard a wood knot, and he got off the phone with me. I was sitting there eating, and I heard something come up behind me and thud the ground real hard. Thought it was a deer pawing the ground or something. Turned around to look, there wasn't nothing there. Don't know what it was, have an idea, but don't know. But anyway, I come out, and this is before Mark and I even started going there. It was probably within a month or something. But man, I went home, and I bet from ankle to my neck, I probably had 300 either seed tick bites or chiggers. I looked like I had the measles all over my body from that trip. And it was terrible. It almost made me sick. There were so many of them. I can remember laying in a bathtub with bleach in it, just trying to kill it and kill some of the itching. Miserable. That's something else I learned. Even if it's cool, if there's seed ticks around, make sure you take precautions for seed ticks because land between the lakes is eat up with seed ticks. And it could have been chiggers, but either way, you need to protect yourself at all times, just like you're in a boxing match, Mark.
Yeah. Uh, let's see. What about that time that we were on that bridge down in Mississippi and you had that FLIR in your
Oh,
back pocket. I mean, in your front
oh,
pocket. And
yeah. Have you got that beautiful bean footage?
I do.
Now this was
That
a
now that was just rotten luck because
that
that drain hole wasn't much bigger than what that FLIR was.
no. This is about
There's
what
the drain hole.
4:30 in the morning,
Yeah.
and it's not hot, but it's not cold. It's probably 58, 60 degrees. And I dropped my FLIR TK Scout through that drain hole of that bridge into that creek. And Fat Boy goes swimming. Headlamp on all.
Uh,
I just knew I'd find it. I lined up the drain hole and I got in the water. Water moccasins, alligators. I didn't care. That was $600. Gone. And if any of y'all are in north central Mississippi around that creek, you may be able to find you a FLIR somewhere through there. It's probably waterlogged, but how long did I stay in the water? 30 minutes or so?
at least 30 minutes because you wouldn't. I mean, once you're in it, there's no needing. I can't remember. Did you take your shoes off?
Yeah, I did.
Because
No, I didn't, because I was afraid
okay,
there'd be glass and stuff in
yeah,
there.
because that's what I kept worrying about was, any time that you're over a bridge, there's no telling what gets thrown off in there.
No, I just went wading off in there. Luckily, it was only, 3.5, 4 foot deep, so I only had to go
Yeah.
underwater a little bit.
Well, it was still cold. It was, and you got to think we had been out for going to different locations and making calls, probably 6, 8 hours. Like you
Yeah,
said, it was 4:30 in the morning, and that was probably one of our last stops.
it
And
was.
you were just we were all worn slap out, and
Yep.
but we were just we were making calls over this bridge, and you had that FLIR in your front pocket, and it just popped out of your front pocket and went
And
straight
boop.
down. I mean,
Mm,
it would be like being 30 yards away from a basketball goal and throwing a football and it going straight in. Uh, I mean, it was unreal how that thing would have not bounced or hit on the edge, and but it went. I mean, it just went. It was a slam dunk.
man, I hate to watch this video because I'm afraid I'll see it somewhere on the video. And I wanted to go back the next day, and we didn't do it because we stayed out so long. We slept late, and I think we were going home. And I couldn't even tell you where it creek's at right now. And don't
Well,
even care to go see it.
we had another incident that happened pretty close to that bridge, and we were having a just friends getting together, and we had invited some people, and we were camped out around there, and we were going to go out and do different things. And I believe that is the first time that Slade and Donna made cast iron lasagna. And I'm going to tell you, it's the bomb. It's the best lasagna that I have ever had,
Oh
made
yeah,
in a cast iron pot,
A Dutch
Dutch
oven.
oven.
Yep.
And Bear had a podcast. I forget which podcast it was,
Oh,
but the reception there was really bad. And so he had to go up to where the parking lot was. And he got in his truck and found a little spot where he could sit there and be interviewed on that podcast for hour and a half or something like that. And then when the podcast was over, he started up his truck and he started pulling back up to where we were camped out. Now we were camped below where the parking lot was. And there was it dropped down to a lake, and there was a little flat spot, and that's where we had all the tents. And Bear's little legs went to hit the brake. And his foot missed the brake. And if it hadn't have been for that pylon there, he would have came down right on top of Donna and Slade. They were right there below him.
yeah.
But he would have probably taken a 50-foot drop off that thing if it hadn't have been for that pylon. But he was slapping that little foot trying to hit that brake. And I don't know if he was hitting the gas or it was speeding up, but we like to never got that truck off that pylon.
Whew. Yeah, that was bad. That truck was like that on that pylon.
Yeah,
Pylon was stuck under the
front wheels were off the ground.
Yeah. And that was almost bad. Real bad. But luckily, that's about all the mishaps we've had. No, it ain't either.
And sometimes, sometimes it's just things that happen. You may sit there and plan out something, and things don't go as planned. It was just like our Florida outing. We were on our way down to Florida, and all of a sudden, the state of Florida shuts its borders.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, we didn't they know we've been planning this for 6 months?
That may be why they shut it down.
I know some people thought that.
Yeah. Yeah, that was bad. We were loaded up, left my house. We were going to have to drive about 12 hours. We took off, and we got an hour and a half, maybe at the most, down the road. No, it was probably an hour. And Carrie called us from Bigfoot Odyssey and said, man, they shut down the whole state of Florida, all the state parks. And we started scrambling, trying to think of something. And we looked up the national parks. They were still open. And we were trying to name some of them close to the area we were going and go there. But he was afraid we'd go there and they'd shut that down. So we wound up going over in Mississippi. Got all our camp set up, stayed there for 2 days.
2 days.
2 days, and the rangers come in there and said, y'all got to be out of here by tomorrow at 8 a.m. or whatever time they told us. So they did tell us we could primitive camp in another spot, but they just had to shut down the campground because of the bathrooms and all that because of COVID. So we kind of wanted to do that, but Carrie wanted to go to another spot that was better where he'd had his sightings. So we were like, all right, that sounds great. So we went there, and we stayed there for 2 days.
Yeah, a day and a half probably. And they were saying we were going to have to pack up and leave.
Yeah, we got met by a game warden there from Mississippi. that told us if we didn't get out of there by a certain amount of time that we're going to be charged with trespassing or something. So everywhere we went, we got run off by government officials. Is that a conspiracy or bad luck? I would say that time it was bad luck.
Yeah.
Because we wasn't close to finding nothing nowhere we went. Because we just got there and got set up. I gotta say, both Mississippi spots look promising though. If we'd have had
Yeah.
more time to spend there, we'd have probably got a little bit more action. But you got to deal with what you got to deal with sometimes.
I just saw Debbie mentioned on the chat when that time that her and Shelley were in that canoe, and they had taken that canoe about, I don't know, 3 miles upstream and let them off, and the water was down, and it took them about 6 hours, I guess, about 6 hours, dragging that canoe over rocks, and they looked like death warmed over whenever they got back.
Yeah. There's all kinds of things that happen whenever you go out there, but we've had more fun than we've had mishaps. We ain't got as many tickets as Debbie has for camping in the wrong spot, but what can you do?
And sometimes you think you're having a mishap, and you're really not. Like the time that we were down in Georgia, and Cheryl invited us and Justin Edge down there, and I kind of took off on my own. And,
you didn't kinda, you totally took off on your own.
Well, I mean,
You're just bad that way.
I'm not one to walk trails. And if I see a sign, I'm going to start doing circles until I find the next sign.
Yeah.
And I found signs. We have that documented on one of our videos.
Yeah.
And but it kind of freaked Cheryl out a little bit that when y'all made it back to camp and I wasn't at camp.
He didn't find my jokes that funny that night, I don't think.
We got these little hiking camping chairs, and I mean, they sit probably about 6 inches off the ground. You know, they've and so you don't get out of them easy. And, and Larry's an agitator. And Larry, you know, Cheryl was he was upset because he didn't know if he'd ever see me again. And Larry just kept aggravating Cheryl, and all of a sudden Cheryl's eyes got big, and he started moving towards Larry, and I thought, man, if Larry says one more thing, he's going to get tackled in that chair, because Larry can't get out of that chair quicker than what Cheryl can get to him.
Oh, thank goodness none of that happened. Because I like Cheryl.
Yeah.
But I do agitate, though. But Mark knows I know when to back off. It's like whenever I take that one step over the line, that's whenever I back off. Oh, it's great, though. We did have fun there in Georgia. Every night it rained. We went there because he sees these lights there a lot, and we went there to see these lights. He sees orbs and stuff, and every night it came a tremendous thunderstorm. The 3 nights we were there, it rained hard all night long. We were in the hammocks, just hiding and praying that we didn't have a tree blown down on us or lightning strike us or whatever. But I don't know, that did. Cheryl got so disturbed about it. I was starting to get worried, but I knew you had your GPS. And the day before, Cheryl and I had got off the hiking trail, and we just followed my GPS back to camp, went straight instead of finding the trail. And he didn't like that, and that's fine. He's used to those trails, but I'm used to just going across the woods, so I don't ever pay attention to it. But he was ready to call search and rescue for poor Mark. And I didn't know if that's what we were going to be doing or not there for a while. But we all went back to camp, which was an hour hike from that waterfall. Cheryl went back to find Mark, and then me and Justin went to find Mark and Cheryl. And by the time we were about to go down that 70-degree slope,
Yeah.
I don't know how steep it was. It was steep. But here come Mark and Cheryl up, and I was like, oh, thank goodness. Hallelujah. And we all went back to camp, and nobody died on that excursion. But anybody in chat got any questions or anything they want to share, any mishap they've had?
Yeah.
Mark will let you on here.
Yeah, if you want to, y'all can come on here. Well,
If you want
I
to.
guess I shouldn't be inviting. It's not my show.
No, it ain't mine either. This is the people show. We're just here. But I don't guess I can see the chat if I got that up there. And I don't have time to check my email either. So
I've got it.
it's still up there. How does that happen? Mogion is in there. Gene Hudson, Sharon Guy, Patrick Vaughn. Sent you a GPS to where one is. He put that in capital. Have you got that GPS coordinate, Mark?
I sent you a GPS to where one is. No.
How many sightings have you guys had in LBL? That's what Kirk asked. I guess I could have highlighted it, couldn't I? That was the wrong one. It went up about 5 miles since I hit the button. Mark, tell him about your sighting you had there. Shelley saw one there.
Shelley saw one there. We have seen things, but we are such skeptical folks. Just because you see something does not mean that is the targeted species that we're out there looking for. But I tell you what, it was pretty convincing that time that we were out there with the Prejersky brothers.
Yeah.
And
you saw the eye shine?
And saw that eye shine moving through the woods.
Yeah. And the night you and I and Rodney did that primitive camping out there in that cold night, and I saw that eye shine, and then Rodney got up and he saw it too. That was peculiar. But I can remember one time you, me, and Shelley were going into that primitive camping spot that we built the firewall and all. And I saw something dark up on one of the ridges looking at us, and I told y'all to go on ahead. And then whenever we come back out, it wasn't there.
Yeah.
Don't know what it was, but it was not a stump that was still there whenever we come back out. But I stood there for 10 minutes or so, and it never did move. So I went ahead and moved back to Mark and Shelley.
Let's
And
see. Spencer Jameson asked you, Larry, where is the favorite place that you have ever camped?
well, it ain't gonna be North Carolina, is it? uh, favorite
I
place.
think we have a top five pretty much. But Ohio has to be up there in that top five.
Yeah, in the eastern, southeastern Kentucky is up there in the top five.
Yeah.
Our new land in Oklahoma, that's up there in the top five.
Yeah.
And LBL is always going to be in the top five just because it's close and we enjoy going there. Does that name five or just 4 out of 5? What's the fifth one?
I would have to say mine would be New Mexico.
Let's see. Sherry asked in this video, where is this at? This video is at land between the lakes.
Yeah.
We used to go and deploy audio recorders with lithium batteries. And how long would they last, Mark?
Depending on the ambient temperature between 107 to 124 hours.
And then we'd have to listen to all that, or Shelley would. Poor Shelley. She's done so well with this, but we made video. How many videos did we make where we talked about how many hours of audio we got and all that?
I
About
don't
3 or 4.
Shoot, it was more than that. Put a team
Yeah.
to it.
I don't know how Mike didn't get eat up with seed ticks. Do you?
No.
He must have sprayed. Probably.
Yeah.
But let's see. Any other questions? Wait, here's one. How many times has boogered in the woods? Well, Joe, I don't know what boogered in the woods is, but twice? Let's say twice. Bama, bucket list place to booger and bucket list encounter. Probably my bucket list would be the Pacific Northwest, at least for a week. And my bucket list encounter would definitely be one within 20 yards during daylight, and we stare at each other for at least a minute or two before I crap my pants and move on. Mark, how about you?
Mine would be near the Oregon coast.
Is that like the Pacific Northwest?
Yeah, with where Kim Christensen, where her area is at. And mine's pretty much like yours. I would want a daylight sighting that was close enough to make out features. One guy guaranteed me one time that he would take me out and guaranteed me a sighting, and which he has not done, but he asked me how close I wanted to be to him, and I said close enough to smell what he had for lunch. And that was my answer.
I
And
think I was told the same thing, and it never happened either.
yeah,
Which now I know why. But anyway, yeah, and I don't want one of them eyeballs through the leaves either, or
yeah,
seeing snot running out their nose through the leaves, or whatever people do, where you got to circle them and don't know what's there. I don't want that. I want them to be standing in the middle of that logging road right there and me looking at them. That's what I want. How about you, Mark?
that's it.
All right. We got one more question, and it's from, who's it from?
I don't know, but I see Robin is on here, and Robin just released a new video. So y'all make sure that y'all go check out Robin's channel. Uh, Bay Area. Oh gosh, I don't know the name of it. Robin, type in the chat what your channel's called,
You
or
can't
put the link.
advertise for somebody and not know the name of their channel.
Well, I'm an idiot, Larry.
Me too. Me too. All right. Well, if we ain't got no more questions, it's almost my bedtime, Mark. I thought I could get to it, but I'm not going to be able to get to it for some reason.
Yeah, let me look.
We got it. Oh, good
It's
grief.
it's under Robin Lynn Griffith.
Yeah, it's under that.
Type in
Yeah.
Robin Lynn Griffith.
That's what she said. Just hit. There's what she said right here. Just hit my beautiful face. It's under my name, Robin Lynn Griffith. How about that?
And tomorrow night we have WTF that'll come on at 8 p.m. 9 p.m. Central Time. And
Yeah.
that's one that I always look forward to on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And it gives it, especially Thursdays, because Moog always waits till we go off before he cranks his up, and um, I am just, it's just a way for me to come down a little bit after a show.
I agree. I can make it a little while, but with me getting up to go to work, I can't make it till 12. I'm too old for that.
Why don't you tell everyone who we have scheduled to come on Beast TV Thursday night?
Well, as far as I know, unless something unforeseen happens, we're having Janice Carter back to do a Q&A for y'all, because we ran out of time last time she was on, and she agreed to come back and do a Q&A for those that have questions for her. And she did have a lot of good information from her experiences, and I think it will be great for her to come back on, and because she hadn't told hardly any of her stories or anything else, so it's going to be great.
Yeah, there's over 250 comments on that podcast, and just people still looking at it and asking questions, and so we just thought it would be good to have her back on
Yeah,
and let y'all just ask her questions live on the air. and and maybe answer some of the questions, or if some of them that she did answer in the comment section, you really cannot go into detail or anything like that. So it'll be great if you've got questions for Miss Janice to come on and ask them, and let her go into detail and explain the answer for you.
I tell you what, if you go to the Sawdust Beast YouTube channel and just look at the videos and look at the lineup of guests that we've had on there, it's unbelievable for me to go back and
Yeah.
look at who all we've had on there.
Yeah.
Debbie does a fantastic job getting these
Yeah.
folks on, because if it wasn't for Debbie, y'all'd be looking at me talking to Mark most of the time, or Mark talking to me. And who wants that? But we've had some tremendous guests, and I mean, if we went back and just repeated the guests we've had on already again, it would be fantastic. Guarantee it. The broadcast, the broadcast ended. It ended.
How'd you do that?
I don't know. No, never mind. It's still on. My bad.
Oh.
That's the button I got to hit to end it.
Oh.
I got a notification from YouTube, and I thought it was telling me that it
Yeah,
went
I
off.
got it too. And that's just another point. For your favorite podcast that you enjoy watching, they usually come on at the same time, so you kind of know if you're all if that podcast has a Facebook page, you can use that to help remind you. Please don't depend on YT to send you the notification. I've gotten so many messages from people talking about how, they were once subscribed, they never unsubscribed, but now they had to subscribe again. They get late notifications. I just got the same one that you did, that you were on.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I know last week on Sawdust, the main show that we have with the guest, I got the notification the next day at like 11 o'clock
yeah.
that it was live. And I'm like, no, not now. It ain't. Here's a good point. Why don't you develop a guide for everybody, Mark, so everybody knows?
I've already got too many irons in the fire. Only thing you do is put on headphones. I'll let you handle that one.
Yeah, that's true. Very true. It probably won't get done, but it's a good idea. I think Gary Schutte, that's on Facebook, I think he has a list of podcasts and YouTube channels on his page, or pretty sure. But anyway, Mark, have you got anything else for the folks?
I was trying to think of something while ago. Let's see, we got 95 in chat now. 79 thumbs up.
Bama wants to know if we got any more log scooting videos. We'll have to ask Shelly about that.
Bama.
She said she was going to walk across it and break her leg before she scooted across anymore. Yes, Gary Schutte is the one with the list, is what Robin said. So, all right. Is there anything else? All right, well, I think we're going to be done here, Mark. We've discussed all of our messy britches mishaps that we can talk about, I guess.
Yeah, we've done told why you need thumbs in a previous.
Oh, yes. Well, we want to thank everybody that tuned in tonight. And remember, if you go out in the woods, no matter if it's familiar land, unfamiliar land, whatever, Spencer's got a good video up on the Beast page of things you need to carry with you all the time. But Mark, what's some things you like to carry when you go in the woods?
Paper towels.
Okay, he takes paper towels. I take a knife. What's something else you take?
You even if you have a GPS, you should carry a compass
Definitely.
because, as Really Big Monkey once told me, a GPS is just a piece of plastic that holds dead batteries.
That's right.
And so it's good to have both, and you need some type of first aid kit. You need a plan, but you also need to be prepared mentally. These are things that you prepare yourself before you go into the woods. The last thing you want to do is, if you get turned around in the woods, is to panic. You do not want to have a panic attack in the woods.
Right.
And have a ferro rod or a lighter. Know how to start a fire. Be prepared that if something does go wrong, that you've got enough food and water that you can get through the night with.
Yep.
And always practice things. An emergency blanket. Absolutely right, Tony.
Robin brought up a good point too, a whistle, because if you are lost, you don't want to yell and lose your voice. You can blow a whistle for a long time to get people's attention.
Yeah.
But definitely bring something. If you got fire, you can purify water to drink. And if you got a water filter, I mean, it can be small ones. You've got water to drink. Water and fire are the two most important things, and the compass for sure, so you have any hope of getting out of where you're at.
Yeah.
So
let somebody know where you're going to be at.
And when you're returning.
Yes.
So if you don't show up, you can get some help. And if you got as much money as Mark does, buy you the Garmin inReach with a SOS. And make sure your batteries are charged before you go in the woods.
Carry extra batteries. That's one thing that we do is, and one reason is because we're setting out recorders and things like that. But always make sure that if you're relying on a GPS, then you're carrying extra batteries. And just because you have a GPS, I mean, it could be like Shelly's keys and you could lose it,
Yep.
So you always need some type of backup. I see Dan Ricky. Dan, we need to talk because
he'll call you.
Me and Larry want to talk to you about something, and it'll be a piece of cake and you'll be glad. But I wish Dan had a channel. You think
he
about
does.
All the things that he has done over the years.
Yeah.
And if y'all haven't watched on Sawdust Beast channel the Oklahoma Indian Bigfoot stories, it's about a 4-part series. Y'all need to watch that because
Yeah.
it's so amazing to hear Dan tell those stories. They're just fantastic stories. Some things that happened to him, some things that were told to him. Uh, but I don't know. They're great. They're fantastic.
No doubt about it. But anyway, if y'all go in the woods, be safe, have a plan, have equipment, no matter if you're going 100 yards in or 3 miles in, be prepared
Hey
because you can,
Larry,
yeah.
you ought to play that intro video again for those that came in late. I like
All
that.
right, I'll play it again. All right, everybody have a good night and y'all stay safe out there and be kind to one another, even if you don't like each other.
Night
All right,
night footers.
night, night.